you know, because
Sorry, sorry, Dave.
she,
As a bonehead, and I'm so excited to see you, I forgot to click one little thing. So now my video recording is just now starting, but hey, that's all right.
also, we haven't been recording yet.
We've been recording audio. We've been doing the radio show, but it's just like, hey, the video thing is just the side action of what we do here.
What the hell are you doing? You do this stuff all the time. What the hell's wrong with you? Don't
So
you know what the hell you're doing?
would you like me to restart, sir?
No, that's okay. We won't
We
restart. I'm
could just go
joking with you.
because that's the whole
Technical difficulties, some of the BS that goes with this stuff. So no, we're all good. So
you know.
anyway, what the bottom line is, you have the audio from it, and the bottom line is we're here into getting into the holidays. This will be our second Christmas, and so yeah, things are good. I had a total life change. I'm 64, and you know the age because you're the age, uh, and Carol's age, she's 62, and she is a wonderful wife and wonderful person. So I mean, we're building something here, and I have a lot of different changes. This was a game changer. This wasn't an easy thing where I think of like ball players and coaches when they get traded or get moved, and that's what it's sort of like to me. I got traded down here, and I had to get acclimated. And the weather is warmer, and that is a plus. It's a different kind of, you're not going to get 5 feet of snow, which they get in mid Michigan and Wisconsin, where you have another home. Uh, and it still is I still have some unbelievable ties. There was people that when I came here, there were certain people that just couldn't understand why we moved here. And we moved here because you have one life and you got to do things that sometimes are out of the ordinary for other people. And I've always been a nonconformist and I don't really give a crap what other people think. I used to, I don't anymore. So, we made a move and we love it and we're building on it and we're going to continue to do that.
Well, that's a good synopsis of what's going on here. My guest today, everybody, Dave DeMarco. I'm going to call this one Scoreboard just because Dave is like the kingpin. When I go and we do, and if you haven't had a chance to see any of David's minutes, Dave the Mad Dog minutes, they're very entertaining. We do 3 a week. Dave records them. I edit them. Jamie sponsors them. I mean, it's a big team event here. And because David's knowledge and his star quality when it comes to sports and athletics and college athletics and professional athletics across the board, even in the high school realm, David's the man. I mean, he's got more sports paraphernalia stuffed in his head than anybody that I know. And it's great to have him back. Dave, we're going to go to break here in a minute or so. Just take 30 seconds or so to kind of set up what you'd like to talk about in the realm of sports and life. Go right ahead. Take about 30 seconds to kind of get that thought.
Well, I'd really like to talk about transfer portals, NIL. I'd like to talk a little bit about maybe the Detroit Lions. Maybe, if they can continue to get better, going maybe deep in the playoffs. I'd like to talk about, some of the things that have happened, not only in college athletics, but especially, where we're accustomed to at Michigan State University in the last few years there. I know this is a national show, but a lot of people maybe can get a couple of ideas of what has transpired over the last 5 to 10 years, not just a couple of years.
Exactly. I mean, and that's a good lead in. And thank you, Dave, for doing that. I'm going to carry this through. Let me reset this thing. David DeMarco is my guest today, my very, 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 very good friend. I mean, we're like brothers from another mother. I talk to Dave every day. And we do a lot of work together as far as our video content goes. We're building this business, and it takes a team. It really does take a team to pull these things together. And that's why I'm calling this Scoreboard. We're going to talk about some athletics. We're going to talk about refinement with David. We're going to talk about everything and get everybody caught up because there's so many people out there that just think Dave's the king, and as I do as well. Again, resetting this. David DeMarco is my guest. Calling this one Scoreboard. You listen to the Tom Mantra. My little clicker wasn't working real good for a second there. It's like fucking technology. I swear to God. No, we got all kinds of good things that we can talk about, Dave. I'm going to go right down that list when we start.
Okay. Yeah,
Uh,
whatever. I mean,
it,
you know me, I'm
it's
not
easy for you.
shy.
I'd like to talk about, and we're going to talk about refinement down the road, but let's get the sports stuff out of the way because people,
Anything you want to talk about.
I know you're all
This
good.
is really cool. I mean, how the Zoom is. It
Oh yeah,
really is. And I've done, usually do them on the phone. That's what
yeah.
they
That's why
want me they want me to do this in Lansing, and I'm like, I mean, I don't think I will ever be doing another one in Lansing, Michigan, without those two women again.
these we're going to get you back as a regular and just talking about because it's good for us to talk like this.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's good.
It's really it's great content and people like it, and so we're sort of pivoting with the show and what's popular, and plus I'm doing a lot of work with Michigan State, and you as you know, I mean, so let's do this. I got to read for Craig. Okay, and we'll do that, and then we'll get rocking. Here we go. Second segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by Craig. Another one of our joint friends from David DeMarco and all the connections that we've had across our years of knowing each other. Your Ameriprise financial advisor, my Ameriprise financial advisor, David's Ameriprise financial advisor is Craig Stiles. He is the best. He is the bomb. He can help you plan for the life you want today and well into the future. Love Craig so much, and as Dave does too. With the right financial advisor, life can be-ism, be brilliant. Call Craig 1-800-528-1355. Local number is 517-483-4893. Emails craig.stiles@ampf.com. His offices are located here locally in mid-Michigan. 2400 Lake Lansing Road, Suite B is in Brilliant or B-ism, Lansing, Michigan 48912. The thing about, and don't be afraid to get a hold of Craig if you're in another part of the country, if you're listening to the podcast and you're picking this up and like, Ameriprise is a huge company and we want you to connect with him. He can vet, he can send you to someone perhaps in your local area. So much of this work that we do now is all remote. And it's like doing all these Zoom recordings with the radio programming. It's just, it's fantastic what the technology can do. Let the financial people who know their stuff help you figure it out because he's helped us. And again, full disclosure, Craig's been our guy for a while now. He's got all of our retirement zone savings, all of it, which I'm glad. He created Desideri Analytics, where we are making light of weighted decisions. Here are some of the stations that are carrying us, have carried us all over the place. I'm grateful to any radio station that has carried us. Radio changes all the time, as my guest today, David DeMarco, will testify. And so you just got to be grateful. WGHN 92.1 in Grand Haven, WGIM 1240 AM in Lansing, as David knows them very well, the flagship of the Michigan Talk Network, WJRW 1340 in Grand Rapids, WKLQ 1490 AM in Muskegon, Whitehall, WYPV FM 94.5 Mackinac City, and of course our PBS affiliate at Michigan State University, WKAR East Lansing, the home of the Spartans Go Green. Again, thanking Craig Stiles for creating Desideri Analytics because that's what pushes him over the top with making decisions on your finances. It's his proprietary algorithm. He created this before algorithm was a cool word. That's what pushes him over the top. Thanks, Steve and Ivy Gruber, for carrying us on their syndication on the Michigan Talk Network. And of course, go to Amazon, check out our books there. We've got 4 books there. And I'll tell you about it, the website, tommattshow.com. You can find everything at the website, tommattshow.com. Which, again, another thing that Dave helped us with was getting that thing created and polished up years ago. All right, my guest today is my very, very good friend, best friend, David DeMarco. Calling this one Scoreboard. David is as I said in the first segment, he's the most knowledgeable person when it comes to athletics, sports, trivia, history, all of it. I mean, if you want a good opinion on sports, this is the guy. Okay. So we're going to go through not only the retirement zone that he's gone through because of his changes in his life, which he talked about in the first segment, but now let's talk about all of the changes that are happening across the world. And it's just an amazing time to be alive and to be able to share this knowledge. Dave, let's start right at the top. You're a nonconformist, as you said earlier. So am I. And I love it. And that's why we're brothers. Everything in sports is nonconformity now. it seems like everything has changed. Let's start right at the top, man. Let's start with the transfer portal. What the hell is it? Why is it good? Why is it bad? Whatever. In your opinion, go ahead. You're the man.
Well, I mean, the transfer portal, I think it is a good means to an end. I think that for all those years that coaches left when they recruited a player, and then the player goes to that specific college, and then he could not transfer for a year. So he's sort of stuck. And I think maybe that was the seed that this really came from. But the transfer portal can be beneficial, and it also can be a deterrent to an athlete. I mean, if athletes, the problem with athletes today is, like, I was on a radio program yesterday out of Grand Rapids, Steve Project's, and I'm on about once a month. And I continue to say a lot of today's athletes, starting in fourth and fifth grade, they have their rear ends kissed, and they're just used to silver spoon and mouth, no matter what family they come from, whether it's a one parent family, whether it's a wealthy family. If they're a strong athlete, they're already getting looked at by colleges in fifth, sixth, seventh grade. And when they go to a university and things don't work out like they think the grass is greener on the other side. And a lot of times it's not. I've always said, if things aren't working out, what you need to do is get better and work harder and get with your coaches. And what am I doing wrong? Instead of jumping ship and bailing and think it's going to be better somewhere else. I don't know of too many players that have gone into the transfer portal and they've blown up at that university that they've gone to. There's handfuls, but they just think, like Michigan State had 27. I understand why Michigan State guys would leave. I mean, if they were recruited by Mel Tucker and the garbage that he brought to the forefront, and then you have a new head coach, but even before that, not knowing who the coach was, something like that, I understand. But a lot of these players, I think they split because they're not getting the adequate playing time that they believe they need instead of working harder to get better. And as far as NIL, I mean, it's been a topic of conversation almost like as long as, should Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame? Should they get paid? And I think they should, but I think it's really going to get out of control when you have donors that, I just go back. We're in 2 years now under the NIL. July was 2 years, this past July 2023. I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know how it's going to be policed. I don't know how this is going to, last year, Bryce Young out of Alabama, who was with the Panthers now, he made the most. He made $3 million. Now you have like a second string offensive lineman that could make $2.5, $2 million, $3 million a year. And it's not just money. It's real estate. It's jewelry. It's vacations. It's homes. It's automobiles. I mean, anything can go in NIL. So it's really the mid-major schools, the smaller schools, they're really going to take a bash, and they already have, because these other athletes will split and go where they think they can get paid. And there's nothing wrong with getting paid, but you also have to be a realist about it too. And I think that's what some of the lower end Big Ten schools are going through. I think that's what MAC schools are going through. I mean, you look at the Big Ten now, and you're going to have Pac-12 schools that are going to be coming here, and Michigan State's going to have to go to the West Coast now to play all the other schools that are coming here: UCLA, USC, Oregon State, and it's just nuts. I mean, the college landscape is just from when we were just talking about this yesterday. There's 41 bowl games. There used to be like 6 maybe bowl games tops. I mean, there's the toilet bowl, there's the crap bowl. I mean, they're just stupid bowls, and there's like 1 or 2 people, they're probably making a profit out of it. Nobody goes to these games, nobody watches these games, and it's just getting to a point where it's just stupid.
All right, we're gonna come back. We got so much to talk about with this whole topic. My guest today, I'm gonna reset this thing, everybody. David DeMarco, the Mad Dog, my brother from another mother, and I mean that sincerely. I mean, we have been so tight for a long, long time now. Love talking to Dave. We talk every day. Don't get him on the show enough. We're going to do more and more of Dave's picking his brain with athletics, because he's our go-to subject matter expert when it comes to athletics. That's why I'm calling this episode Scoreboard. When David comes in the house, it's scoreboard time, baby. David DeMarco is our guest today. You're listening to the Tom Nance Show. fucking cake.
Why don't you ask me about some of the media people that I've had to deal with
I will
in the
absolutely.
last 25 years that don't believe what you just said, how I can answer that question.
I'm going to go right there as soon as I do Jamie's read. Let's do
I'm
this.
not going to say any names,
No, no,
but
that's
I'm
do
but
whatever you want.
I'm going to steer the automobile in the direction where people will know.
That's entertainment, baby. That's what
And
we do.
I'm just gonna, I don't even. These people don't understand this stuff. They don't understand their own stuff. So
You're right. You're right. And that's why it's going to be good to get you in now that you've, done your first Zoom call with you see how freaking easy it is. It's like,
yeah, and
it's
I'm
just,
glad Tony was here just to
it's like,
get it
great. Good to have.
organized. So we'll just get used to it.
Oh yeah, it's easy. It's just like everything else. We just got to do, refinement stuff and learn. I've been learning too, like learning how to turn on the record button when I'm fucking starting the
That's
shit.
okay. I was laughing to
That's
do
fine.
that.
No, it's cool, man. It's real. See, that's the whole thing about what we do.
Yeah.
We're just doing our thing, man. Here we go. Third segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by our brand new last week's guest, actually, Jamie White with White Law. We had such a great conversation, and I have to thank David DeMarco for putting us together because we need to share good people. That's what we do. We've got to share good people and what they do. Jamie White and White Law PLLC is where justice meets compassion, but it's way more than that. He talked about his business aspect. He talked about his networking. He talked about all the people. He doesn't have to have 100 attorneys working on his staff because he's got a giant network out there, and that's the way technology works. And that's how we're doing this radio program. So it's all good. Go to White Law, where justice meets compassion. They are your advocate in times of need. They have been they're our guy, they're David's guy, my guest today, David DeMarco. They're there to listen, support, fight for what you deserve. Awesome people. I mean, the best. Contact White Law today for your free consultation. I did say free. Visit whitelawpllc.com or call 517-777-9785. The easiest way to get a hold of our sponsors and friends is to go to our website, tommattshow.com. At the bottom of the homepage is all of the banners, which link right to their websites, works perfectly. All of our social media is there. If you got a question for me, you don't want to get a hold of Jamie, but you want to get a hold of me, got a question for David, you want me to post, because David, my guest today, David DeMarco, is going to be on the show much more regularly now. And if you've got questions you want me to ask Dave, then DM us, whatever. Lots of people know Dave. Lots of people know me. And so please do. But again, thanks to David and White Law for helping us keep this boat floating. And we're making progress. And don't forget about the Mad Dog Minutes. Don't forget about the Mad Dog Minutes. We'll talk about that in a second here when we get David back in here. All right. Scoreboard. David DeMarco. David, we talked a little bit about transfer portal, NIL. There's so many topics we need to cover. It's been a while since I apologize for not having you back more regularly. We're going to fix that. That's going to happen because you're talented. You're national. You're doing radio. You got picked up. You were doing radio for the University of Alabama and their tailgate stuff and post game stuff. So you're a big demand, and you found a happy place down at Cedar Bluff, Alabama. Let's talk more about media people and your experience and how do we help people through your 25 plus years of being in media. So many people will come to you. You've helped so many people. You helped me tremendously to get my foot in the door and learn the ropes. Talk about media people. This may go a little while, but that's all right. Go right ahead.
Well, I mean, my background was in the restaurant business when I was a national caller on the Joe Chevalier Sports Buffet program for a couple of years.
What year
And
was that, Dave? Just to put some
that
perspective.
was in 1992, I'm pretty sure. And like 4 years later, I was picked up by my friend Jeff Hager and Randy Plant because they heard me many times on this program. And they started this show called The Sports Guys, and we don't really have to get into that. We talked about that in my last show, May 13th of, going on 2 years ago. But the bottom line is there's a lot of media people, young and old, that, I mean, I came out of nowhere. Okay. I was self-taught. Okay. I did graduate from Central Michigan University with a industrial management supervision, BAA from there in 82, and never really done anything with that degree. I worked for my family, and then I wanted to be on sports radio. And so I persevered, did some jobs. I worked and got a strong sales background in radio and in other areas of sales. So I parlayed that with getting into radio. And 26 years later, we came to Cedar Bluff. I've dealt with some really good media people, and I've dealt with some really jackass media people. I've dealt with people that are narcissistic. I've dealt with people that are very nice. I've dealt with people that to this day uh, don't care for what I did, or they didn't like my uh, shows. And to those people, I just say
Let me ask you real quick. I'm sorry to cut you, but why do you think that is? Why do you?
jealousy.
Okay.
I mean,
Envy.
jealousy. I mean, like I said, I came out of nowhere. It got very popular, and it took a while. It's not like I just like was Samantha Stevens or I Dream a Genie, and this stuff happened. I worked very hard, and I also had to do the sales end of it too. With a regimented group, I had some really good sales bosses, and I had some really bad jackass sales bosses. So that just goes hand in hand in radio and TV. You're dealing with people that have big egos that know all, but never done it, and it still is like that. And to the people that always underestimated me, that's the people that I prove that I want to just put my head through a brick wall to prove them wrong. And even to this day, these same people tell, and it gets back to you because people talk. They're like spray guns talking. And to that, I just I respect everybody that does this because it's not easy. But there's a lot of people that like to get on people's shirt tails and hopscotch over people to try to get ahead. And in the long run, they might have a 20-year career, but in the long run, it'll all backfire. But getting back to that's really what my motivation.
David, what about all the people that you assisted, like me? I mean, there's a lot of people that you
I would
assist.
say half the people that I assisted were people that really looked at me as not a stepping stone, but a guy that really could network and help them network. And really, to this day, are unappreciative of it. And and that's fine. That's totally fine. I could go off even more, but on this, on your program, out of due respect for those people too, it just, they know who they are. They know, people sometimes got to take a hard look and get humbled. And sometimes that doesn't happen, but most of the times it does. But
What about our younger people that are coming up, Dave? Is you're a mentor to a lot of people, and you're very wise, and you got all this experience. You've done this. You climbed out of nothing to become a member of the Hall of Fame. I mean, what kind of advice would you give to young people that are trying to get into media now? Because media has completely changed since you started, almost 30 years ago. What kind
well,
of
it's gotten very digital oriented, which is fine, and content and writing, and that's great. I think that some of these radio stations have gotten away from broadcasting and entertainment business. It's more revenue. It used to be ratings and revenue. It's more revenue and ratings. But I mean, again, in this day and age, when you're dealing with younger people, it's hard to convey the message that you want to do because a lot of these people, male or female, they got all the answers, and they won't listen to you until they run into a brick wall or something uh, happens to them, and then they need assistance or they need advice. And then I've had people that have come back and did that, and then after they get advice or they do get help, then they ghost me, or they won't. I mean, I've had everything thrown at me.
that's
I
very good
really
attitude, bro.
I've really had just about every kind of thing thrown at me, to the point where it is laughable.
It's
It really
comical.
is.
It's
It really is. I mean, you get PO'd about it. And I used to, but a really, really big gauge that happened to me when my mother passed away, was, where you would read stuff on the internet, that people would make up, or they would they would gas you, or people that you worked with would, and I just told myself that was a big deal in my life. My mother passed away being an only child, and I don't have to dwell on that, but that was a big deal. And dealing with people that just don't have a lot of respect for other people, and just they're in a narcissistic behavior, I just really have no time for anymore in my life.
David DeMarco is our guest today, everybody. I'm going to reset this thing because we're going to come back. We're going to talk more about this, but I want to leave this segment with a word that both of us, we talk about constantly, and it reflects back on what David was just talking about. It's accountability. If you don't have accountability in your life, you are going to be in deep, deep doo-doo. So you got to think about these things again. So here's where we go with Scoreboard. And that's what I'm calling today's episode. And I might start calling all of David's episodes Scoreboard, because David DeMarco is my guest. I'm very, very grateful to have him as a very good friend and as a guest today, because he knows his stuff. You're listening to the Tom Match. Learned it all from you, bro. And I'm going to talk to the camera right now and say, this dude brought me in. I didn't know diddly crap. I was sweating so hard when I was in the studio with him, and having Dave in as a regular, we can rehash so many stories about when I'd go into his studio. I mean, we don't have
time. You were swearing and stuff.
Oh my God. Oh,
well, I mean, how many producers? What about when Chase was doing the 6 o'clock morning deal?
Oh, the morning show.
I think that time period in my life, that 6 months that he was I think God was punishing me for anything that I might have did dishonest in the neighborhood to people at Central Michigan University. Not dishonest, but you know what I'm saying.
I'm gonna go. You know what? I'm gonna go to one of your. What is one of your favorite stories that we used to talk about on radio that used to make me laugh my ass off? It was. You
mean the leeches?
The leeches was one of the best. I mean, the Tim Stout with his. We don't have the soundbite for his locking his bike and getting.
Yeah,
any of that kind of stuff. I'm going to go to the leeches though. I want to talk.
He's one of the ones just in the last few weeks, it got back to me that he was the one that he still is, that he never liked me on the radio. And you know why, don't you? It's like I just said the word.
Exactly. Yeah. Let's roll. Here we go. I'm going to do my Brock read. Where the fuck is it? Hilarious. I'm glad we're doing this. This is really great. Here we go.
How long do we go?
We got 2 more segments, so about another 20 minutes.
Okay.
We're good. 4th segment is sponsored by Brock Fletcher, joint friend of both my guests today, David DeMarco, and myself, my family. Brock, full disclosure again, helped us sell Big House Holt. Stop. Hold on. Oh, I forgot to move my cursor. Dave, thought I did that. The fuck? Okay, I'm glad I caught that. Here we go. Let's start this again. My producer's going to think I'm fucking a rookie. Jesus. Here we go. 4th segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by Brock at the selling team of Keller Williams. And again, full disclosure, Brock helped us sell Big House Holt, which was amazing because that was during the pandemic. Then he helped us find, through Mike Deadman, a guy on his team, Little House Lansing, where we're recording this episode right now with my best friend, David DeMarco. And we just roll on, man. We have great people who help us. And if you're looking for some real estate help, assistance, you can go to not only our website and find the Reality of Real Estate and all those episodes with Brock, or the Financial Fitness with all those, or whatever I'm going to call the Law Dog with Jamie. You can find those and you can get those, and they're free. I mean, just go there. Here's a couple of phone numbers coming at you for Brock. Ready? 517-853-6408 is the local number to the office. Here's the key number. This is the number to his pocket, his cell phone, 517-303-3262. you can go online to kwsellingteam.com, kwsellingteam.com, sell your home without hassles. But again, the easiest way to find our sponsors is to go to our website, tommattshow.com. And at the bottom of that homepage, where you guys should be finding all of the podcasts and all of the video stuff and all Dave's minutes, all those. I mean, there's links to everything over there, but the key links are to our sponsors. Go there and it take you right to them. Most real estate agents start selling your home. They invest money in marketing when you're starting to sell your home. Brock invests way ahead of time because he wants to establish his credibility across mid-Michigan, across the country. And again, another key factor, just like with Craig and Ameriprise, Keller Williams is a massive company. So you want to make sure you can leverage it because, again, if you're listening to the show and you're in Texas or California or wherever, Georgia, Alabama, where Dave's at, get a hold of him. He can vet him. He can set you up with a person who's in your area that can make it work for you and make this very, very seamless. Once again, his number you want to contact him with is 517-303-3262. Go to kwsellingteam.com for more information there. My guest today is my best friend, David DeMarco. Calling this one Scoreboard. David's a legend. And I consider him just an awesome talent with a great brain. And we were talking about media people, and we don't need to revisit that because the media business is what it is. I mean, it's changing. It's the old school people out there, just like in the athletic business, David. Media's changed just like sports has changed. Everything changes, right? I mean,
Right.
So let's get back into. I have a note here about conference realignment and where you think that's going to affect things, because that's going to change next year. If you're not aware of this, everybody. Well, Dave, you talk about this because next year is when everything starts to shuffle.
I mean, conference realignment is it's not geographical anymore. It's just public. It's like public trading. I mean, it's like people are going for where the cheese is, where the Zort is, where the money is. It's all it is. There's no respect for the Big Ten. There's no respect for the Pac-12. It's like the Big 18. It's ridiculous. It really is. I mean, the two different divisions the Big Ten has that used to be legends and leaders, and now it's just ridiculous. It's, you look at where Michigan State, Michigan, Penn State, and Ohio State are in, and then you have the other side that they play in the Big Ten championship, where Iowa is the best team, and they get blown out every time they play these games. The Big Ten championships are a joke. They just are. I mean, they should split this up and have it even with the two or three better schools, so you'd get more, maybe a Michigan, Ohio State, or a Penn State, Ohio State championship. Well, you don't get that, and I don't know. Sometimes things are so easy to figure out that people make them so difficult to figure out. It's just it's unbelievable. It really is. So as far as teams that got to travel to the West Coast from the Midwest, it's just taking money and burning it. People don't go to the games. I mean, as far as we said that doing the tailgates when I was living in mid-Michigan, all the tailgate shows I did, people just rather party and sit in the parking lots and sitting on the fields. And people now, they're so like NASA control. They bring satellite dishes and they can watch the games, and with the way they cook, they like, the hell with that. I'm not going into the game. So I don't know. As far as the NCAA, I don't even know if it will exist. It's a point where big time college athletics is still big time money. I mean, I know that, when March Madness comes, the NCAA for 3 weeks makes just a ton of money. I don't know if that'll continue. I mean, you saw the Big Ten commissioner, Warren, travel from, taking over for Delaney. He was there for a cup of coffee, and then he splits to be the president of the Chicago Bears. I mean, it's all about chasing dollars, and I don't have a problem with that. It's like they leave carnage in their path. And that's what a lot of these coaches, a lot of these administrators, a lot of these athletic directors, they just leave carnage where they are. And if you mention anything, I mean, when I used to say things on the radio, people have rabbit ears, and it's one thing if you're going to make stuff up and have fake news, but when you're on a trail and you're saying things that are true, it's the people that are listening to it, or they give messages to their friends, and say, hey, did you hear Mad Dog talking about that? And then I get a phone call from people, and I'm like, well, they're like, why in the hell would you say that? And I'm like, well, maybe because it's true. Well, you still shouldn't be able. I said, hey, man, it's talk radio. That's what fuels us. Now, if you make stuff up, and I said this to Steve Project on his program yesterday. I'm a firm believer that I'm pretty credible. When I first started, I was like intense on the radio. I mean, I swore, I said things that were not right. It was Howard Sternish. I did this, I said that. I went after Nick Saban when he was the head coach of Michigan State. That was that was a learning point. Chuck Irby, the former volleyball coach, when he finally met me, he took me aside and he said, listen, the sexist stuff that you're saying and the things that you're saying, I'm not going to let any of my women's volleyball players be on your show, because he said, Dave, you got to understand, I've been around. Okay. There's only so much of the pie that people like. The rest of the pie, they want to be entertained, but they don't want to be entertained with this, that, and whatever. So, I mean, I have had a few people that have spiraled off of me as producers or coworkers. And I say this too, and it's easy to rip and tear and take a carpet knife and gut players or coaches if they've played bad or they played good. You don't give, let's read the book to the end of the cover. I understand all that, but I also know that, I worked at a place where Michigan State University was the flagship station, and I also was the top sports salesman, and I still am, and I live in Alabama. So I had to have a buffer. You got to tell what's true, but you don't need to go overboard, because people are so smart in sports now, they can draw their own conclusions. I had a baptism by fire with the Bobby Williams incident. Bobby and his wife were friends of mine, and Bobby, it didn't work out for him at Michigan State. People were putting for sale signs on his property, and I don't have to go into that. And I learned through that. I mean, I have a good friendship with coaches that are still there and coaches that left, and I just know how to know which is personal and what's business, sort of like a Vito Corleone thing. I know what you can do and what you can't do. And I see a lot of younger people today across the country and locally that they think that, by, you know, gassing and ripping, but if they had to see that person on the street, they would be kissing their butt. It's easy to do that. Okay. I'm not saying that you can't fall into that. But it's easy. The hard thing is standing your ground. And when I went through the Bobby Williams situation, it was a rough period. I mean, it was a rough period. I had a man call me, one of the worst things that was ever said to me, in the show, that I had enough. The football was not good. Bobby Williams was the coach. I had a man call me up and say, what you're doing to Bobby Williams, Hitler did to the Jews. And that's probably one of the worst things that I've ever had said to me. That was a learning curve. And there was a person that just was let go by a TV station in Lansing. And people know who I'm talking about. I don't know this person that well, and I don't know all the intricate stuff that went on to her deal. But if she would have contacted me and asked me for advice on something, I could have helped her, and she still might be employed at that place of business.
People make decisions. Again, going back to the word that I closed the previous segment with, everybody, accountability. David DeMarco is our guest today. We're going to go to break here in a second. We're going to have our final segment coming up here. If you lose if you don't get the fifth segment on your broadcast, go to the podcast, TomMattShow.com, pick up the fifth segment, because the fifth segment usually has lots of fireworks and fun things. Again, resetting this thing, calling this episode Scoreboard, with my brother from another mother, best friend, David the Mad Dog DeMarco. You're listening to the Tom Mann Show. Beautiful. Let's talk about refinement. We got the fifth segment. This is where plug, Dave, if you want people to get a hold of you or not. That's
okay.
You
got it.
You have that handy with your phone number or email or whatever you'd like to use?
Dick Eiding said yesterday or Friday, it might have been Friday before I went to work. He said that he's still thinking about it. So you know what? we're gonna pass over him if he wants to do it.
We'll have to talk about that off air because I wasn't real sure on that message. I kind of got the gist of that, but we'll talk about that off the recording.
All
And
right.
it's cool. I mean, as long as people are getting entertained with what we're doing with our content, it's all good, man. But do you have your email and your phone numbers and everything right there handy so you can use that, or you don't have to do it at all if you don't want, Dave. We'll just keep going.
I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean?
Where I give the guests the chance to plug whatever they want to plug. You know, it's like hey, if you want to get a hold of me, call me. Here's my Facebook, whatever. But we can skip over that if you want. I don't even have to go.
People, don't worry. People are smart enough. They can figure out as far as social media how to get a hold of you. I know that for the last 5 years. I've had a lot of people get a hold of me that I haven't wanted to get a hold of.
I'm just going to throw it to you. You just say, hit me on my social media or go to our website. Go to the top.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's fine.
Whatever. Here we go. Make sure I got my thing moved over here. Welcome back to the radio program, podcast, whatever you want to call this thing, video. Fifth segment's always the best because it's a kind of a limited thing. We're carried on WKR, our PBS affiliate. Thank you for Michigan State University for carrying us on AM 870, 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday afternoons. Wonderful. And getting the fifth segment, they take all 5 segments of the radio program, but then you can get the podcast at tommattshow.com, and that's where you can connect with us on all our social media. Whatever social media that you like to use, you can use that and get a hold of us, DM me. I would prefer, actually, everybody, if you, and like I talk about in my Dad Talk videos, just go to the contact box of the website and send us a note, and we will get in touch with you. If you got a question for David, my guest, who's going to be more of a regular on our show, talking about sports, talking about all kinds of good things, send me a note on the website. David, how would you like people to connect with you? I know that people know you very well. You're very well known all over the country, but what's probably the easiest way for people to just reach out to you directly?
I mean, the same way. They can go to social media. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on, of course, Facebook. They can do that. It's not hard to find where David the Mad Dog DeMarco is. I mean, I don't hide from people. I've had everything from good, bad, and the ugly sent to me since social media came to the forefront. So I pretty much can handle it. I've had some really funny kind of stuff with social media. I mean, like I said, good, bad, and the ugly. I've had some really treacherous stuff, and then I've had some wonderful stuff lately. In the last 10 years, mostly it's been very good. But like I said, I can't get in people's heads and change what they believe. I can't get in people's heads and the younger people, they have what they're going to believe and what they believe till they can't believe it, and then oh yeah, I should have thought of that. So I am a true believer now of, like you said, accountability. But like I said, I'm also a guy that hitches my wagon, and I said this earlier in the broadcast, to when people underestimate me, that's when I'm the strongest, because I just sit back sometimes and just don't put all my cards in front till I need to. I just do.
That's wisdom right there. That's a smart move. And that's something that you could learn from David. And so reach out to him on his social media, or contact us, or comment on his Mad Dog Minutes, which are very popular, and it's going great. I mean, it's just all the things that we're doing to recreate our own lives, because we're both in the retirement zone, which means we're working more now than we were when we were working like full time at our.
Yeah, when you have a nice mortgage, you got to take care of that mortgage. So,
Exactly.
but you know what? I wouldn't have done it any other way. And again, those 3 individuals you talked about, we couldn't have made this move without Craig Stiles and Ameriprise, and Amy and Karen are who his right-hand people are. And he would say the same thing. He couldn't do what he does without their intense. Amy's been there since she worked for Bob Smith, Craig's brother-in-law or father-in-law, who passed away tragically in a drowning incident in the Big Bay up in Traverse City. And Jamie White and I have become very close friends in the last 3 years. He's a wonderful individual, smart. He represented a lot of victims, well, a few victims from both the Nassar incident and the Dr. Anderson incident at U of M. Again, we talked about Brock Fletcher, and there's a few Mickey Mantle realtors in that area, and he's definitely in the Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb area. There's no getting around it. He is a wonderful guy. He is a feverishly tireless worker. The stuff that how Fletcher does it, and the people that are under his umbrella, I know that for a fact. So I just want to give those guys a shout out too.
Doing that, David. I appreciate that. Coming from you, that's very high praise. Let's talk about some other things that have been happening in your life with the retirement zone and your retirement zone, because people need to embrace this. You can either retire, as I've said before, or you can refire and you can go the other direction and shoot on the rocket ship. You're on the rocket ship with WEIS Radio now in Center, Alabama. Talk about Jerry and the whole environment down there, how different it is for you and the responsibilities and duties and things that you've learned. You've continued to learn. Your maturation has never stopped. You've learned the technology. You've been continuing. It's funny when I text you in the day where we're doing our editing for your videos. It's like, well, I'm editing, and it's like, yeah, see, we're both doing the editing thing. Neither one of us did editing until recently, and it's like, but that's what the whole point of the retirement zone is, right, Dave? Throw some love to your.
Well, I mean, let's just go back when we came here. I didn't work for 1 year. I worked. I shouldn't say that because I worked very hard to sell advertising for Lansing Town Square Media in sports, and I was very successful in what I did from abroad, 10 to 12 hours drive away for Michigan State Athletics. I was the top salesman of the people that are still selling there, and it hasn't and wasn't been, and it still to this day is not easy. If I can say that, it's not terrible, but it's not easy when you have to deal in a situation like that. But the former person who was my boss, Zoberdine Fly, who's not there any longer, she thought it was a wonderful idea, and then they had a new regime after she left come in, and the transition was not easy, but it was successful on my part, and I couldn't have done it without the people in Lansing's part. So I had to go back to work 3 years ago when Carol and I came into this area. We did an impromptu, I guess you could say, drive in to WEIS Radio that's in downtown Center, Alabama. We met the owner, 2018 Alabama broadcaster year, Jerry Baker. We stayed in touch with him. Finally, I had to go back to work, to a brick and mortar kind of situation. Plus, like I said, I still do the sales for Lansing Town Square Media. But Jerry hired me. I went to work in June. A lot of people in Lansing do not know that. I am the afternoon newsman for WEIS Radio, 100.5 FM, and it's simulcast on AM. It's WEISradio.com. You can find it. And I do 4 and 5 o'clock newscasts that would be 5 and 6 o'clock Eastern time. And again, all my editing was done by producers and Brock Palmbush. And I just didn't think, when Jerry hired me to be the newsman, I was a little bit freaked out because I didn't think I could do this. And he worked so hard with me. It wasn't one of those guys saying, "Oh my God, Dave, you don't know how to do this yet? What the hell? What is wrong with you?" He took me under his wing and he showed me how to do it with all his years. And I can do this job pretty damn well now. I have to travel to different areas, different towns around in Cherokee County. That's where I live, in Cherokee County. And I know all the mayors now. I know all the chief of police now. I do stories on their these meetings, and I work with some really good people. Not that I didn't work with good people in Lansing, because I worked with, top-notch people. I did. Again, it's a different kind of mentality in news from sports. When I was in sports radio, I was, like stand-up comedy, like in Second City. This I can't. I have a regimented way to talk, and it's funny because we do local happenings, we do the news, local and state, and then we do the inmate report as part of that news. Then we do the obituaries, the people that pass away from Cherokee County. So it's about a 15-minute broadcast, and that's where it is. And he has just had a lot of positive reflection and a lot of positive rub on me, and I couldn't be happier. There's a lot of people in Lansing that don't know it, that I do that, but that's what I do. And we do other stuff down here too, but it's mostly that, and of course the selling of Michigan State and high school sports with the two people that I deal with up in Lansing, Michigan.
Great story. Excellent synopsis. We're coming up on a close of the show here, so I'm going to give Dave a couple of minutes to kind of follow up with this. This is going to become a regular part of our broadcast, everybody. We're going to start doing this as a category on the show. Call it Scoreboard with David DeMarco. And I just kind of like the whole thing. Dave, again, we have 2 minutes to go before we got to break this bad boy down. What would you like to leave with your latest visit back to my show? And I thank you for taking the time to do this today. What would you like to leave the listeners with as closing thoughts from the Mad Dog?
Well, I mean, Mid-Michigan is always my home. Always. My parents are buried in St. Joe Cemetery. My relatives are there, buried there, but my relatives are there. Carol's relatives are there. That's where we grew up. We both attended Lansing Catholic Central, Lansing Catholic High School. That's where my stepkids also attended. I have a lot of close friends that are still there. And, for the people that wondered why in the hell would you go to Alabama and this is your town and this is, things change, lives change, and you only have one go around at, doing things. And this just had everything that I wanted. My brother and sister-in-law, niece and nephew are next door neighbors. That's who I bought our property from. It's got a Civil War history. It's got an Indian, a Native American history. It's got fishing and hunting, and the people are just it's great. And I will come back periodically to visit, but I couldn't be happier in this location right now in my lifetime.
Good synopsis from Dave, and for everybody out there, Sandy and I plan on going to visit with Dave and Carol here in February when we do our winter trip, and we're going to plan on staying at their house and seeing the whole area and meeting the people down there. I'm looking so forward to it. I'm going to close this thing, everybody. If our show fits your business or group's mission, we want to be of service to you. That's what we do here. We are servant leaders, and we want to help our community all over. I'd like to help WEIS Radio. I mean,
well, I want to tell you this. Anybody out there that would like to be a sponsor of the Mad Dog Minute, get a hold of us, because it's going to only get bigger and better.
Thank you for saying that, David. I appreciate that. Always remember, before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Thanks again to my brother from another mother, David DeMarco, Sandy Matt, Craig Stiles, Brock Fletcher, all the students that we've helped and worked with. We'll talk to you next weekend, everybody. Have a great week. Ignite your life. Before I say good day now, I want to say thank you to the legend, Mitch Anderson, our producer. Comment shows production of Boomer's Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. Thank you so much for listening. We are out. Boom.
Good.
Fucking great, man.
I don't think I spewed too much gas, but the gas that I spewed.
Across, and I'm serious. I mean, if you talk to Jerry and he wants us just to send him the hour package, he can have it. There's no cost at all. I'd be grateful to him to broadcast it on. If he wanted to put it on at 3:00 in the morning, I wouldn't care. I mean, if he's got a spot for a talk show,
I will. I'll ask him. I'll ask him tomorrow.
Yeah, would you please? That would be great. Yeah. I mean, it'd be really a feather in our cap to get on out of state.
I'll ask him. All right, Tom.
Then, have a great day. We never even talked about
you just click off. Then
see, this is why. This is why I got to have you back, Dave, because we didn't talk about the Lions. We didn't talk about Mel Tucker. There's so many things we could continue to talk about.
Yeah.
We're going to make this more of a regular thing. And I promise you, I mean, it won't be every month, but it'll be every couple of months.
That's just whatever you want, whatever you need. We know how to do it now. And that was good. I got some things subliminally off my chest that I was pretty happy about. All right. So now what do I do? Just hit leave then?
Just hit leave, and then you're out, and tell Carol I said, we love you, and then we'll see you soon and talk to you soon, and have a great holiday.
Okay, buddy. I'll talk to you probably tomorrow.
Talk to you tomorrow. Okay.
Well, I have to. I'm going to send the clip to you. All right, buddy. See you. Tell Sandy you said hi.
Okay.
Bye.
I can't tell you how much I appreciate David coming in, and that's why I screwed up a couple things during my recording session. But that's, you know what, everybody? That's okay. It's fine if you make a couple of little mistakes here and there. That's why we have people supporting us and why we do things. Don't get frustrated when you're having issues here and there. It happens and it's all good. So thank you so much for watching, listening. Send us a note. You know, you can subscribe to our channels, do all of those good things. Watch the Mad Dog Minutes, watch the hashtag Dad Talks, all of that stuff. We are really crushing things right now. So thank you so much again. It's all because of you. It's all because of the people that are out there, and we're just trying to help. Have a great day, everybody. Take care of yourself. Do your thing. Be good to your family. Peace out. Love y'all.